we're changing the whole experience of shoe care. So we use pure orange peel oil instead of petroleum oil.
That's Andy Vaughn, founder of Pure Polish. If you ever polish your shoes, chances are you used kiwi. I know I did, because my grandpa always had a tin in the house. But Andy believes the future of shoe care isn't about nostalgia. It's about transparency, health, and performance. In this episode, he'll reveal the 3 rules he lives by when it comes to reinventing polish.
We post all of our ingredients on all of our tins and jars, so you can see, the orange peel oil, the white beeswax, the coconut oil. It only makes sense to be using safer alternative ingredients in the products that we're touching with our bare hands.
And once you hear how Andy makes every tin by hand, which is Papa and Mama Elf in the workshop, you'll never look at shoe polish the same way again. Yo, today we're going to talk with Andy Vaughn, who is the owner of Pure Polish. And we're going to talk about something the everyday man should have an interest in. What should you be looking for when investing in shoe polish products? Andy in the building. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you,
well.
Reginald?
Can't complain. Happy to be here. So,
Likewise.
before we go into our topic, please tell us, so what do you do?
What do I do? Yes. So, as you said, owner of Pure Polish Products, I make shoe polish by hand right here in Bend, Oregon.
Already, I'm like, I hope these people love this because I love it. I'm like, by hand? What?
Yep. From scratch, from the raw ingredients, pour it, every single batch, every single unit individually. So it's the shoe polish, the cleaners, the creams, all of it.
Right. I'm excited about this one. So we were brought together by someone who plies the trade of shoe care and shoe shining. This individual has been on the podcast. His name is Jason Dorn. So when Jason came onto the pod, for anyone who heard or saw it, I had some boots, some Chelsea boots, some Alfred Sargents, name dropping here, classics, that were in Jason's parlance, thirsty, dying of moisturization, much less polish. So Jason was kind enough to literally, through the interview, talk me through how to revitalize these boots, which I'm forever in his debt. One of the items that he said that we needed to utilize, and he sent me a care package, ladies and gentlemen, for these boots. It was like an emergency. He was like, help is on the way. I'm FedExing something to you right now. Priority. Okay. That's pretty cool. And for those who are just listening, in my hand is Pure Polish Leather Cleaner and Conditioner.
Yeah.
And I said to him, Pure Polish? What's that? Never heard about this. What's going on? And he said to me, hey, now he lives in Colorado now. So he was like, hey, when you open this, the environment is going to change for your nose. I'm like, all right, listen, I'm from New York. Like, what really? This is a little like wild oats and granola here. Like, what are we doing here? But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to open up this top right now. Oh, my God. It's just like a few months ago. I am surrounded by orange blossoms.
Yeah.
Andy, what the heck is going on here? What are you guys doing there in Bend, Oregon?
We're making magic potions, clearly, right? We're changing the whole experience of shoe care, right? It's not just about the product. It's not just about the result. It's about the fact that you as a human are interacting with your leather, and you want that experience to be better. So it starts with that, right? Make the experience better, make it safer, make it healthier. So we use pure orange peel oil instead of petroleum oil. Now, that has a lot of benefits in that it's non-toxic to humans in terms of what you absorb. And a lot of leather care and shoe care these days is done with your bare hands so that you can feel it pressed into the grain of the leather. And so it is important to be aware of like what are you putting on your hands. I mean, we're all aware of like lotions and skincare and stuff that we use in just terms of like what our hands do when we touch stuff. So now that we're using bare hands a lot more often, it only makes sense to be using safer alternative ingredients in the products that we're touching with our bare hands. And shoe care and leather care is now becoming one of those as people are using their bare hands a lot more. And then there's the whole environmental thing, like you're saying, there's an environmental shift. When you open, I mean, everybody has their own experience, like of opening grandpa's shoe shine tin. And what's that smell like? We all have that, whoo, that pull back. You got that chemical whiff, that big, strong, aggressive smell that you're so used to with traditional shoe polishes. Well, we thought that it'd be very important to change that experience because if you keep having that experience, you're going to have to do it in an open air environment or out in the garage and away from everybody else. And so, starting with a better experience, starting with healthier, natural ingredients, we then crafted Pure Polish, which uses pure orange peel oil and natural ingredients so that you can get same, equal, even better results to taking care of your leather while also making the experience a lot more pleasant for you and anybody around you, right? So our hashtag on social media, which you see, is shine together. That's our biggest thing. It's so that you don't have to leave the room when you shine your shoes. I mean, that's how it all started, right? A husband and a wife, and the husband wants to take care of the shoes. Every time he opens the tin of shoe polish, wife is like, "Get out of here," right? Well, that doesn't happen with pure polish. So that's where we started.
Well, I have to tell you, you were talking about evoking memories of the past. So for me, everything about shoe care starts with my late grandfather. And he was a Kiwi guy. So
Yeah,
as
yeah,
his grandson, I became a Kiwi guy. To be candid with you, I'm going to gently push back. My experience was never repulsive.
sure.
So he would pull out his boot black kit. He'd open it. I'm fortunate to have his kit now, which, touches me to my
Awesome.
core. He gave it to me while he was still
Yeah,
alive.
yeah.
So even, more so. And he'd pull out product. He'd pull out brushes, rags, and he'd go to town. And I would watch him
Yeah.
like a hawk. And he would teach me, right, how to do this. So when I open up a tin of kiwi, it's a beautiful sense memory for me,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
I never felt literally that I was being assaulted chemically, right? But what I learned just all recently, I mean, this whole, for me, 180-degree change and shift in utilizing products and methods, like you said, using your hands, your fingers, being more tactile.
Hmm.
I was like, well, who am I? So, and I think my late grandfather is looking down. He's probably proud. He's probably also bemused. And he's also like, what the heck? So, because anyone who's interested in this, I believe if they live in North America, there's just one brand generally, and it's Kiwi. So, you mentioned petroleum. I learned from someone I know, in the game, Levi. I was fortunate enough to go to a seminar that he was doing here in New York for Stitch Down's boot camp. And he mentioned water that's also in Kiwi products. Can you chime in on this, and why is Kiwi now, a product that maybe a person doesn't utilize anymore?
Sure. And I think there's a few elements in there, right? The history and the nostalgia of the experience of aromas, and I think that scent is such an evoker of memories. too. So even the most strong scents can have strong memories, and definitely didn't want to come across as one's negative, one's positive, because yeah, definitely not in that orientation, but just that we want to evoke the orange scent as a contrast, and then offering an opportunity for people to kind of compare those. In terms of other brands, and given that ingredients shift, brands adapt, they grow, I only know so much and I can only comment so much on the ingredients that I'm aware of, that because not a lot of ingredients are posted on the backs of tins or jars. It's not always required by industry. We post all of our ingredients on all of our tins and jars, so you can see, the orange peel oil, the white beeswax, the coconut oil. It's all posted there because that's just kind of like our transparency. It's more of like our ethos as a brand moving forward. As far as water and some of the other brands, they're using, instead of so naphtha is the petroleum distillate that's often used as the solvent for melting the waxes that's in things like kiwi and some of those other brands. But there's also turpentine is a common one that's used. And turpentine has its own association often as a paint thinner. And then some people use more sweet almond oil to change the scent of some, and then some use mink oils, and some have. So it's like there's a whole mixture. There's lanolin, there's tallow, there's like a big broad spectrum of ingredients. What we tend to focus on specifically of those is the solvent oil, the light oil that melts the wax and evaporates off. And that's typically either naphtha, turpentine, or in our case, D-limonene, orange peel oil. And that's that difference there. As far as other ingredients like water, um, yeah, we'd have to go into like the chemistry of it. And as far as I know, I don't know the back end of kiwi's specific mixture, but usually you don't want to mix waters and oil-based and wax-based products without so that it can be a stable solution over time that doesn't get rancid in a short period of time. So we don't use water in ours. Water stays away. Water can definitely be used in terms of certain cleaners, but you can use water in the shining process, and definitely that's where people, like the spit shine, the traditional spit shine, or the droplets and the water dabbers. I sometimes use a little spritzer. Water's definitely used in part of that, but water doesn't go into the tins, these ones, or the cleaner on our end. So I can speak to that in terms of those.
What led you to make this choice that orange oil was going to be the foundational product for Pure Polish?
Well, so that definitely delves into the history of pure polish. So I'll back up a step here and say that I'm not the original creator of the
I know.
recipes. I have adapted and grown the
I know.
recipes. But the original creator of the recipes, yes, his name is Glenn. And Glenn was an avid shoe enthusiast. You know how I said that there's the husband-wife couple and the husband's shining his bespoke Italian shoes and he keeps getting kicked to the garage? So that's Glenn and his wife Karen. And they came up with a little brand that they were making in their kitchen called Glen Karen Care Products. And that used orange peel oil. So Glenn, the whole thing was around the fact that his wife was very into non-toxic living, very into naturopathic approaches, and loved spending time with Glenn. And Glenn loved his shoes. And Glenn was an analyst by trade, and he kept using products that were toxic, had an aggressive aroma, and but were high level in taking care of his multi-thousand-dollar shoes, right? He wants to take care of these. He wants them to last forever, not just 3 years, 5 years. He wants them to last 30 years. And so, at his wife's insistence and prodding, Glenn delved into what can I use as an alternative? Let's say maybe I can make it. And he kind of started experimenting. And one of the things in research that he discovered was orange peel oil as a replacement for naphtha or as a replacement for turpentine. So he started basically with let's start here, kind of mix some of them together. He handed them out to his friends in the shoemaking world. He was friends with some bespoke shoemakers, friends with some people in the high-end shoe world in Europe, and quickly they're like, I think you have something here. The aroma's great, the performance is pretty nice, and he started growing up the business. and then had to shut it down due to family concerns and health. And that's right when I discovered it, as I was diving deep into shoe polish in the shoe world, and I was looking at options, and we happened to be in the exact same town right here in Bend, Oregon. So it just was like a baton where he took it to here. He's like, he discovered this, and I grabbed the baton, and I'm like, I'm going to take this, I'm going to make it better for the world. I've iterated hundreds of times on every recipe, and now I've sold it to tens of thousands of customers all around the world.
Two shoe freaks in Bend, Oregon.
Yes. We had to meet, right? I mean, because Bend, Oregon is this Wild West, Pacific Northwest town where it's rock on the roads or snow half the year, and two guys into high-end shoes. We were both in the business world. We're both curious, and we're both wanting to see things improve in the world around us while still taking care of our boots, our shoes from all over. It was destiny.
Only in America.
Exactly.
So, you talk about recipes, and I would never, obviously, it's utterly legitimate, but here I am putting that word in for this. I'm like, a recipe? Like, what? And you're like, we make it from scratch. But of course, this makes sense. But
Yeah.
how different is it for you as a small business owner, small to, medium business owner? I can only imagine if we use the Kiwi reference, which I'll probably use again and again. They've got conveyor belts. They have an operation that
Right.
makes you look picayune. How does one do this? Like, what kind of like?
Yeah.
Talk us through
Yeah.
your factory. Like, how do you do this, man? You're like, yeah, we make it from
How's
scratch.
the sausage made?
How is the sausage made, Andy?
How is the
Yeah,
sausage made? Yeah. Well, I'll share like the similarities of other things that people can kind of get a picture of what they may be aware of. Like there are people who go to like do-it-yourself candle making classes, right? You get some waxes and you melt the waxes and oh, and here you put the wick here and you pour it and you let it settle and whatnot. Similar in that process, right? But we also use pigments, which is a big factor. So the color. So if you're working on a brown shoe and you need to match that color, we have to have a pigment that works. And the pigment has to have a certain depth and breadth throughout the creams and the waxes. So picture a warehouse. We have a warehouse space where we melt waxes, and we got these large wax melters. And we mix a whole blend of waxes from hard waxes to soft waxes, depending on the product. Some have stiffer waxes than others. And we blend that together with the oils, the conditioning oils, and then the oils that allow the waxes to spread out. And we put it all in these bowls, essentially, that have a magnetic stirring device in it that then we're able to add like the antioxidant oils and the pigments that spread out, and the stirrer keeps it agitated so that as it starts to cool, the pigment is gaining depth as the waxes are starting to solidify, and then we pour it by hand as everything comes and coalesces to a certain temperature, and then each one we're pouring into a jar or a tin at the right point, and then it gets solid right as it evaporates right there and or dry solidifies right in front of us.
So, Andy, you live in Oregon. How many elves does this take, Andy?
Well, I would love to say I have a whole team of elves. I have a couple little elves. I have two children. They're not as little as they were when we first started 7.5 years ago. But my kids help out. I have a partner, Elise, and she's amazing. She's actually pouring pure polish right now in
Of
the
course.
warehouse. Um, and I will sometimes when big runs come through, I'm working with a distributor or some international orders come through. I will get people to come help with things like labeling and lidding and kitting and sealing the products. But when it comes to the pouring and like the actual mixture, the chemistry part of it that is quite precise, it's really just Mama Elf and Papa Elf. We're in there, Santa and Mrs. Claus. We're making the potions, and so it's just us two who are doing the actual pouring. Because we don't have an automated device yet, and we want to be very precise on the measurements and everything, and we log everything in spreadsheets and whatnot. So yeah.
How do you think that will affect you in terms of, a big order or just overall growth and scale?
Yeah, that's a very legitimate question. There are some factors that are hurdles for growing. Like you bring up kiwi, right? It would be amazing to compete with even a tenth of kiwi, owned by SC
Johnson, yeah,
Johnson.
Johnson, yeah.
I think they
Hmm.
do. Yeah, something like last I heard it was like 450 million annually in sales, and it would be incredible to be able to have that kind of reach. What my background is in brand reputation, marketing, building, like kind of that storytelling, right? We're a purpose-driven company, very clearly, as I've shared with this story here. We're trying to change not just our products, but people's expectations of an industry. And with that, for me, it's more about the depth. Like I want to get to more countries and more people and talk with people like yourself. I want to get deeper before I go wider. And as I get deeper, there will be a point, an inflection point where I don't necessarily need to build out manufacturing right here in Bend, Oregon, where everybody's pouring everything by hand. There are tools that do this, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be by hand. That's not like our biggest difference. It's amazing that we can do it now, but as we're doing 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 unit orders, machines are much better at doing that and being more consistent. And when we can reach that point, we can also afford that point. So my goal is build the expectations, sell it one by one, unit by unit, to person by person. Make sure every experience is top notch. And as we build that, then we'll eventually get to the point where we can have some tools do the pouring while we're still maintaining our ethos and brand.
So, how does one grow this type of brand, right? Obviously, it could be a general question for any owner, any small business owner, but no different than my service. Yours is, one could argue, niche. Here you are,
Yeah.
you're an indigenous product, which I find interesting. But how do you talk about depth versus breadth? How do you and how have you spread the gospel of this brand? The original founder, he had some connections with bespoke shoemakers. I know you go to trade shows. I know you go to contests.
Mhm.
So how do you figure out your itinerary for a year? How do you spread the gospel of this brand? I just learned about it
Yeah.
less than a year ago, and I think I'm
Right.
in the game. I
Right.
got a lot of shoes. So, and
Yeah.
obviously it
Yeah.
was, it was a beautiful happenstance that Jason and I met. But I don't know if I would have found you and we would have had this interview without Jason.
Right.
And clearly that's part of it,
Right.
right? Hey, he uses your
Yeah.
product, he sends it to me. Ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, the guest has not sent me anything. I just want to be clear. So, and now here we are. So, how do you do this? And how do you do it in your mind effectively?
Yeah, that's great. First, shout out to Jason. Jason's amazing. I mean, he's one of the most genuine, nice, real, authentic people in the industry. And I don't think I've ever heard him say a negative word about anybody. And he's just so encouraging. And I think that there's this magnetism and gravity that pulls about putting himself out there and also being open to receiving. And I think that's beautiful. And so I love working with Jason. Jason also carries and sells Pure Polish on his website, Shine Your Dang Shoes. So it's for me, it's facilitating relationships one by one, like this. The way I see success, the success path, as I view it, is meeting people, spreading the word through different platforms, continuing to show up, going to the trade shows, going to the competitions, going to the trunk shows, and building that presence that we are here. We are consistent in what we're delivering and our expectations of providing a product at the highest level. And then as the demand increases, the infrastructure is there to be able to build out operations, right? Sorry. I did operations work in the past, and that can kind of fill out as we've got our procedures and as we've got everything dialed. That doesn't take too much, as much as just like making sure that the customers themselves are increasing their expectation. If they're going into every single shoe store and they're saying, "Hey, do you guys carry pure polish?" They go to their cobbler. "Oh, are your products non-toxic, or does it smell like oranges? Do you have that one I saw on that podcast?" Uh, I think that those are the things that increase those expectations. People start asking about it more, so that when the cobbler or the shoe store then goes to their distributor, they're like, "Do you carry pure polish?" And the distributor comes back to me and they're like, "We need your products. How do we start working with you?" So I think it's kind of this groundswell that I'm looking for, and I think the groundswell starts with relationships. So for me, it's I want to meet everybody. I want to be one of the good guys in it that's encouraging leather care, right? Like, I'm not here to make enemies. I'm here to really like fight for what we're all trying to achieve, and there's just different approaches in how we do it, and I want people to just kind of know that. So for me, that success starts with the individual relationships and just kind of grows as the story spreads.
From a sales perspective, what's the percentage of purchases that are made vis-a-vis your website, versus, like you said, someone going to a shoe store, going to a cobbler, and and copping
Yeah.
some product?
Yeah. So right now we're about an 80-20 split in terms of 80% people come direct to us. So that has multiple channels in which they do that. That's our website. That's Amazon as well. We do sell
I've
there.
seen.
But we ship, the thing with Amazon is we don't ship from Amazon warehouses, we ship from our
Oh,
warehouse. So it's still all handled and controlled
oh,
by us.
nice.
So everything comes direct from us.
I'm sure they like that.
And then yeah, it feels, there's that, we have a lot of concern around the experience,
Yeah,
right? So it's on our boxes that are stamped pure polish. It still has our thank you card that talks about that we're a family company. Everybody sees that same. They have that same contiguous experience. So that's where we are, about 80-20 split. 20% is the brands, shoe stores, retailers, cobblers, shoe shiners that are out there, boots on the ground. And as that grows, as you look at companies like Kiwi, it's like a 99.99 on the other side, boots on the ground, stores, big box retail, but they don't have that groundswell. There's not a lot of people in the forums asking as much like, "Oh, that amazing kiwi, let's see the videos of it." It's just not happening as much. So I want that buzz. I want to talk about it. Yeah.
you mentioned Kiwi. This is a two-parter. One, do you view them as competition? And two, whom is your competition?
I would say that it depends on the consumer. For someone who's just typing into the internet shoe polish, sure, they're going to find whatever the easiest, most accessible, closest thing to them is. They're going to go down to the Walgreens or CVS. They're going to see what's on the shelf. It's $6. And then they see, ours isn't in Walgreens or CVS yet, maybe someday. Ours is 15, and they're gonna be like, this is shoe polish, this is shoe polish. They're gonna grab $6 one,
Yeah.
right? Like, there's no difference. They're just trying to find something because they got a wedding this weekend and that pair in their closet that they haven't touched since the last wedding last year. They need to put something on it that makes it look a little prettier than the dust. So, in that sense, It's like yeah, there's a little bit of competition in terms of the overarching category with companies like Kiwi or Griffin and things like that. In terms of the premium space, like competing for, we actually care about the longevity of your shoes. You've got your grandpa's shoes that were stitched in the 1930s and you want to make sure that they last forever, or you've got that beautiful vintage pair of like shell cordovan boots, like these are some Florsheim shell cordovan boots. You want something like this to last you your entire life. You care about the product. So 6 and 15, you're going for the 15 because the 15 actually has the right pH for the leather. It's not sealing the pores, so it's not creating a rot environment. Like there are all these chemistry reasons why you're going for premium as opposed to shoe polish. So there's premium shoe care and leather care, and then there's blank shoe polish. So when it comes to premium care, there are a few companies that I believe that are working towards the actual longevity of your leather. And I would be remiss to not say the Avel Group or Saphir out of France and their collective companies. There's Boot Black out of Japan and owned by Columbus. They are in the premium space. And then there's Meltonian's another one that has some products and more in the premium space. And what's interesting is that there's the premium space, which is driven by the market, and then us here. And we are trying to drive that, the aesthetic, the chemistry, the longevity. Uh, and that's a whole different market than the ground floor of people just looking for shoe polish and just the basic thing. So yeah, that's where I would say the competition landscape looks like.
Of all of those, you seem to be the true blue American product.
We try to be. I think that there are there are definitely some other American brands that do shoe polish. There's Lincoln, there's Angelus Phoebings. They have some shoe care products, not quite the same as the shoe polishes that we do. But we definitely focus on that high level and shoe polish. So yes, in terms of that space, we try to occupy that space. And like I said, there are some others that do it, but then there's a bunch that do non-pigment. They do clear things like just creams and balms and conditioners, and they're amazing. And I would never discount them. Like there's some great conditioners out there, some old family recipes that are great for couches or jackets and all sorts of stuff. But in terms of like shoe polish and waxes and trying to get the best possible shine, we are the American brand that's really trying to compete for that.
Since you're the American brand, have tariffs affected your business?
Mm, yes. Yeah. I would, it would be, I think, impossible these days. I mean, impossible, such a tricky word, but incredibly, incredibly difficult to not have any part of our ingredients have a lid that's made in another country or a seal that's made in another country. And we have had challenges with supply in terms of even things like our orange peel oil because the lid that they get is made in China and they can't get the lid from China at the cost that they need to get it at. So it affects the oil, which is a totally American made oil, but it's the lid on the container that they can't get it to us. So the tariffs have affected us in such strange ways that American companies aren't able to do business with other American companies because the containers that they ship it in are made in China, or the seals that seal the thing in, some of those are just made in China, and there really aren't American companies doing
Ex-
that at that scale. So it's not like I can just switch to the American alternative and pay a little extra. They don't have it. It's just not made.
Because we're not a manufacturing country any longer.
Yeah, yeah,
Who would have thunk
yeah,
it?
exactly.
Will this affect the consumer, or has it affected the consumer yet?
Potentially. I think that there's like we've maintained our prices through all of this. So there's a bit of just me eating the margins on it. And it has not been small margins. Like I had a thing that was a tenth of a penny that I used to get that is now 11 cents. Like that's a big increase. I had another thing that was 10 cents that last through one of the suppliers I got it was 66 cents. And we're talking like a lid or a seal. These are things that like aren't the creams and the polishes themselves. And sometimes the creams and the polishes aren't the most expensive part. It's like just putting it together in a way that you can have it and handle it. And so just switching these supplies uh, have knocked lots and lots of margin out. And fortunately, being small, I can hit those ripples a little bit better because I'm not at such huge scale that the margins are super, super thin. So I think that there's almost a benefit in being a small business, in being able to just say, yep, I'm going to take the hit, and yeah, it hurts over these next few thousand units, but nowhere near if it was like a few million units.
Well, why don't we talk about the products?
Yeah,
What do you got there? What have the elves
let's do it.
delivered for our guests?
Yeah, so it's our two best sellers are the cleaner and conditioner, which you so lovingly showed, and
Yeah,
it's great.
man.
This one, it's it's where I always tell people this is step one.
Mm,
It's like there's a lot you can do beyond this, but step one is just make sure your leather doesn't, because we're talking about like error prevention. Make sure it doesn't
yeah,
crack
that's
and dry
literally what I
out.
thought. Crack. That's literally the word that came to my
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. You like you said, your leather was looking thirsty. Well, that's a big factor. As it gets more and more thirsty and starts to get those dried out, it gets striations, starts to stretch, it starts to flake off the finishing, and then eventually, if it cracks and tears, that's not easily repaired. In fact, the leather itself can't quite be brought back to where it is once it cracks and
Yep,
tears. So,
that's happened to me.
keeping your leather conditioned and hydrated, step one. It's so this is like 50% of our sales, just people because everybody uses it pretty much in every process. So that's a big one. The cleaner and conditioner is huge. It's uh, in this area, people use it on their boots, cowboy boots, and couches a lot because you can keep your couch hydrated. There's no pigment in it. Let me see if I, yeah, so it's a clear cream, very easy to
Oh,
just,
I
put
know.
up. Like you said, it's got that nice sweet orange aroma, really easy to apply and rub in.
Yes.
Keeps it clean, keeps it conditioned and not cracking. Oh, make sure I don't drop stuff here. And then one of our other bestsellers, especially that's going popular on social media right now, is big thing with Jason too, that he just won the SSIA Shoe Shine Championship, and he used our High Shine. And this was so good to see and witness in person because I got to see him use it in the process of starting with the high shine and then adding a few other boot black products and then finishing off with the high shine as he was doing it right at the end. And I'm cheering him on. I'm like, go, let's see it. And it's just beautiful shine. So high shine is that finishing product, definitely designed with a lot of stiff waxes: carnauba wax, beeswax, candelilla wax, orange peel oil, and it makes it so that you get that brilliant shine on the toes and heels that you're going for if you're going for a mirror shine. And so this is getting really popular. Some people are ordering cases of just high shine. I think I just shipped 100 or a couple hundred overseas to India, to Bridlin that we work with. Just amazing because they're selling it like hotcakes in India. It's beautiful to see the high shine blossoming, and I'm really excited for it because it gives that aesthetic that a lot of people are going for, and yeah, yeah.
Any other products you want to showcase, or is that the taste you're giving us?
Yeah, sure. Sure. No, I'll show. So our line is what's great about it is our line is pretty simple. We have essentially like six types of products and then color variations among them. The high shine's clear, the cleaner conditioner's clear. The next steps, we've got a cream. This is our clear cream, but cream comes in like 13 different colors. And cream, fixes scuffs and scratches, and it's good. It's general maintenance and upkeep. And then we also have a water resistant version of that, which is like very helpful now as we're getting like storm season starting to come through and fall rain is happening. It just makes it so that water beads up and rolls off your leather rather than penetrating the leather. So it makes sure it stays hydrated and prevents a lot of water spotting. So if you've got like a nice lighter leather, like these are some Magnanis that have kind of a lighter tan. You can use like a water resistant cream on it that will make it so that water beads up and it's not causing like water staining. So that's our water resistant. And then we have a colored paste wax, which is usually used before the high shine, but it also goes on toes and heels. And it's more for that protection, and you don't have to go up for a magnificent shine, but it does like make it so that you're scuffing the wax and you're not scuffing the leather. So if I'm out, even in my hiking boots, I use waxes because when I'm hiking, I'm like hitting rocks and stuff. And this makes sure that those rocks aren't scuffing and tearing the leather because the whole point of the leather care is that your leather lasts forever. And so these products are all designed on making sure that your leather lasts forever. So that's pretty much our line. Oh, and then we have a shell cordovan cream, which I would be totally remiss to not talk about. Shell cordovan cream worked, it was like multi-years of development with David Levin Shelvage on Instagram and on YouTube. And we tested like 37 different recipes across multiple versions of shell cordovan from lots of tanneries. He did it. Ton, Mr. Renworks out of Portland, Welted Ware, Ashwin Rao out of Washington, and we blind tested them. I'd send them like, here's six jars of experimental cream. Try it on your shell cordovan. Get back to me which one's the best and tell me why. And then I'd have them rate it based off of these different criteria that I have, like tackiness, speed of absorption. And we came to this final recipe that everybody kept concluding was the best. This is the best. This is the best. And so we came up with shell cordovan cream. Just last year launched it. It's doing really well. It's already one of our best sellers, and it absorbs really well into your shell cordovan. And like I said, doesn't leave any tackiness or film or unnecessary stuff on top of it. And so far, I think it's been 100% 5 stars. And in all the shell cordovan forums, people are saying it's the best product for shell cordovan in the world right now.
Whoa. Okay. That's a shot across the bow. I've got
Mhm.
I have some shell cordovan products from someone else. I'll
Ah,
just leave it at that.
we'll have to send you some shell cordovan cream. You can judge for yourself.
I'm the wrong guy. I'm no expert. So send me colors. Well, send me
Yeah,
colors of
yeah,
stuff. That would work for me.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm no expert. I'm just a guy who wants his shoes to last forever. I'm not a mirror shine guy. Jason
Yep.
knows this. Levi knows this. I just want to have a reasonable shine and my shoes are well taken care of for decades.
Yeah,
That's who
yeah.
I am. A decent shine. Heck, I think my standard
Yeah.
of a shine is lower than I was when I was a kid. But a mirror shine, I am not that guy. Just give me a good shine and,
Yeah.
let's keep my leather supple. So,
Yeah, and I think you're not alone in that, right? There's a most people want, like you said, you want your leather to last forever. You don't want to have to buy another pair of
no.
shoes. Why? You already have a great pair. It fits great. They look
Right.
good. Take care of them. And yeah, you want them to look good. You want them to have a good shine, but you're not going to necessarily spend the 3 hours it takes to get the
God,
reflection so that you can read the watch time
no.
in that. There's only a few crazies like us that like to do that, but
Every time I
yeah.
have you individuals as guests, I always go, I am an enthusiast. I am not a geek, which flies in the face of my brand. But all right, we're down for the lightning round, Andy. Why is fashion important?
Ooh, I would say fashion is important to, there's artistic value in creation in terms of fashion creation. And I think that there's expression behind that that is better than the sum of its parts. And I think fashion, whether it's an individual expressing themselves through fashion and style, or fashion in terms of the brand, you can create things like this where we said, hey, let's rethink the entire experience of what is happening. And so I think our products fit into that in terms of rethinking the space so that it can create different expectations and different ways for people to dream and pursue what they're doing with something that is not just utility, because you can do more than just, otherwise we'd all be wearing white jumper suits that are utility based and allow us to sweat perfectly and in every regard, and there's nothing to it, right? And it's more than that. It's creativity and individualism and style and expression. So I think there's a lot there.
What difference has fashion made in your life?
Well, I bought a shoe polish company.
Ah,
I I find it is allowed me that ability to both reconnect with parts of myself that I didn't have in other spaces, which is creating things with my hands as well as affecting others in meaningful ways that allow them to share with me. Like I built it, it's the building of a platform is what it's become. So fashion has allowed me an avenue in which people share with me, oh, I'm allergic to everything petroleum based, but now I can take care of my leather shoes and boots. Thank you so much. And so it's opened up avenues for people reaching out in ways um, that I didn't necessarily have before.
this last question, well, next to last question, I want it to be tweaked specifically for you in terms of shoe care.
Okay.
So, what is the top shoe care tip you would give the everyday man to look his best?
Use less product. And and I say that as a
Someone
product
who's trying to sell
owner
product.
who makes, yeah, right. So you should definitely read that as gospel, because if I, who make it and sell it and make money from selling you product, tell you to use less, it's because it is that important that you are doing it. Do it for sure. But most people just slop on stuff and drown their leather and smear it around, and it's not good for the leather, it's not good for you, and heck, it's not even good for me, because if you ruin your leather, I'm getting calls and emails of customer service like, I ruined my brand new pair, and I got to walk you through fixing it. So use less product, but use product, just less.
Probably, unbeknownst to me, was slopping around. But I found new religion recently, so a little
Yeah,
dab will do you, ladies and gentlemen.
it will.
Last question that I ask of all my guests, Andy. What does always be fly mean to you?
Ooh, I think for me, always be fly means always hold yourself up around you, both to yourself and to those around you, so that you are holding yourself in integrity. So whether that's always be fly with your fashion and your style, or just always be fly with your word and your voice and what you stand behind, that's what always be fly means to me.
That Andy, thank you so much for the time. I thank Jason through you for having some product. Boy, that is a hint. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And thank you for helping me keep my shoes for another decade, God willing.
Absolutely, my pleasure, Reg.